What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm the Croc Neck, and I'm here to do the metal tag for 2023. Now, for those that don't know, this was a tag slash thread started by the Rock Scout. He gives us 20 questions. They usually pop up around the beginning of the year, and this is something I look forward to, like, they're around this time of year all the time because these are generally really fun questions. I believe it started off as like a vinyl tag thing, and then, well, he wanted to do something more exclusively for the metalheads out there, and kind of took off. So yeah, once again, big shout out to the Rock Scout. There will be a link down below to his channel. There will also be a list of all the questions down there. So if you are a fellow YouTuber out there and you're just looking for something to do, definitely do this fucking thread. It's a lot of fun. All right, so starting off with question number 1. Falsestard album, an album you struggled with at first, but then grew to like. And I had to think about this one because, I mean, I listen to a lot of music, but the one that really struck me was Meshuggah's Chaos Sphere. Because when I initially got this, which was right around the time that it came out, like maybe around 98 or possibly around 2000, I did not like this. I couldn't get it. Like, the polyrhythms confused the living fuck out of me. I just, you know, could not get my head around what they were doing. Like, I thought New Millennium Sinai Christ was a little bit catchier, but the rest of it was like, just, I don't get it. But I kept listening to it, and eventually it was like, okay, I'm starting to get the fucking feel of this in terms of like these weird syncopated riffs and these weird polyrhythms. Like, I don't know, just something clicked. I think it took me a couple of times seeing him live, and yeah, I became a giant Meshuggah fan, which I still am today. And yeah, I'm so glad I continued to listen to this because I became, again, a huge fan. I own all their albums. I love pretty much all their albums, and I pretty much line up for whatever they're putting out next. So yeah, good one for question number 1 here. Number 2. An album with war themes slash lyrics. Now, the easy answer would have been Bolt Thrower. I could have pulled any Bolt Thrower album and it would have been the right answer. Like, literally all the time with Bolt Thrower. But I went with 1914's Where Fear and Weapons Meet because this is honestly one of the best war-themed albums ever. You hear shells going off. There is a section here, God, I can't remember which one. I think it's Pillars of Fire, the Battle of Messines, something like that. Anyway, there is a section where you hear like the high-pitched shriek of a bomb coming down, exploding, and then like tinnitus and all the sound muffling. And honestly, for me going to shows so damn much, I was like, man, did my ears just finally fucking give out? But no, like, it actually kind of puts you there, and the songs are appropriately dark as hell. And Across Now Marks His Place, which features Nick Holmes, some of these are actually themed after war letters home, and that is about as immersive and fucking dark as you can get about war. Like, this is an absolutely amazing album. It was a year ender for me, and if you've never checked it out, just check out all of 1914 because they don't have a bad album at all. But yeah, this one might be their best one. I don't know, I like the last one too, but yeah, war themed and done almost perfectly, I would say. Number 3, most influential metal musician to you in the last 10 years. And that's tough, again, because I listen to a lot of music and I come back to a lot of artists very often. But the more I thought about it, I think I'm going to go with Matt Harvey. Pretty much known for Exhumed, but the fact that he has so many other bands that kind of showcase different sides of his talent, like, he's just a true blue metal fan. You have Pounder, which is straight up heavy metal. Decapitator, which I believe is defunct, but that was just a straight up thrash metal act. Gruesome, which is like the best death tribute band out there. Well, maybe next to Left to Die, which actually has Rick Ross in it, but also has Matt Harvey. So again, kind of reaffirming my point that Matt Harvey, just pretty much everything he touches here lately is just awesome. I mean, Exhumed put out a banger of an album this year. You know, pretty much just everything he does sort of exudes his passion for metal, and he's a solid riff writer as well as a lead guitarist. He's just a good songwriter in general. So yeah, I would say he definitely influences my taste because he just kind of showcases just the variety that there is in metal, and you're kind of getting it from one guy, which I think is really cool. Number 4, band on your to-see list. And there's a lot of bands on my to-see list. Bloodbath is on there. Fucking Dismember is on there. Both of those fucking dropped off of MDF this year, or last year rather. Jesus, I keep forgetting it's 2023. Anyway, a little bummed about that, but honestly the one that's always been there and has been there since I was a teen is still Faith No More. I still need to see Faith No More live. Unfortunately, the pandemic fucking killed that for me like right before everything shut down, I was getting ready to go see Faith No More with Korn. You know, whatever. But Faith No More, that was my big draw. Finally get to see Faith No More live, and then everything shuts down. So, I don't know, hopefully Faith No More gets back together and puts out an amazing album that they want to tour on, and you bet your ass I'm going to go see them live, because they've been on the bucket list for fucking forever. Number 5, an album that energizes you. There's a lot of them. Like, I do like a lot of high energy stuff, but one that I always come back to is Misery Indexes, Heirs to Thievery. This is, to me, like the Death Grind album. Every song in here is explosive as hell. The riffs are fucking tight. It's very catchy for being as brutal as it is. It is just high octane from start to finish. Adam Jarvis's drum performance on here is fucking insane. So yeah, I mean, this is about as high energy as I think it gets in terms of Death Grind out there. So yeah, if you've never checked this one out, much like I say in anything that I think you guys might not have checked out, check it out. It's fucking awesome. Number 6, Big Freeze. Show a snow or ice album, cover, song, or lyric. I'm just going to go ahead and cover all those with Frozen Souls, Crypt of Ice. It's kind of an easy one. I mean, the artwork, the songs, Crypt of Ice, Arctic Stranglehold, dude, Encased in Ice. Yeah, this album's fucking amazing. This is pure bolt thrower worship with like a bit of a brutal death metal edge. Groove-laden as hell. I have gushed about this album so damn much. And when I saw that this was a question, this was the first one that popped into my head. Next to At the Heart of Winter by Immortal, which I thought about going with that one, but there's this off chance that Shred might do this, and I know that that's like one of his favorite albums, so I kind of left it off for him, and I still got to bring up an absolutely awesome one. So yeah, literally the perfect album for this answer. I'm reasonably sure I'm not the only one that's going to pull this one either, so yeah, good stuff. Number 7, a song with royal ties. This one was actually tough. I mean, I think it has more to do with like the royal family. I know that Rock Scout is from the UK, so I don't know. I didn't really know what I had in terms of that. In terms of like searching, the only thing that I could think of was Rainbow and Kill the King. It's a fucking great song. That's honestly one of my favorite Rainbow songs. I mean, I think this works. Richie Blackmore's from the UK, and it does have a king in it. I don't know. Like, that was kind of a tough question, and literally this was the only one I could get in my head. I even looked around and was like, no, I'm just going to end up coming back to this one. But yeah, it's a great song. It's a great album, and somewhat royal, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, moving on. Number 8, a predominantly green album cover. So just on covers alone, and the fact that I love this album still, is the Faceless Aquildema. This is about as green as it can get. Like, it's green on the backside too. I think the CD's green too. Well, it's black, but it has green on it. So yeah, I love this album, and it's green. I think that's the only qualifiers I really need on this one. But yeah, I think the whole idea behind it, I think at least in his video he brought up like green energy being a thing, and was like, well, I don't know if I can find something that ties into that, because I don't think Gojira has a green album cover, at least not one that I own. But I think California's big on green energy too, and that's where the Faceless is from. So yeah, we got that extra tie-in too if we need it. But yeah, this is green, and it's on my list. So there you go. Number 9, an album released in 2021 that you bought but have not listened to this year. And there's definitely some, like there's some that I just didn't go back to because, you know, the appeal wore off. But there were some that I only listened to once and then I was kind of done with. And one of those was Antidiluvian with the Divine Punishment. I still cannot get into this. This is kind of a nightmare of a fucking listen. Like, it's very twisted, very dark, very atonal, dissonant, haunting, but that's the only reason why it's memorable, at least to me. I just could not get into the actual songs in here, which the songs are just insane. Like, fuck any sort of contemporary song structure whatsoever. These guys aren't into it, and I don't know, this is just, I don't know, it's just insane. I really can't get into it. Haven't returned to it since I got it. But I know this album definitely had its fans. I'm just not one of them. But yeah, that's my answer for that one. Number 10, best find of 2022, old or new. So I went with Rotovore, Iniquitous, because I'd only heard about this band, and I had the chance of seeing them live at MDF. They absolutely crushed it. And I bought this CD, which is the reissue of their Lone full length, and a t-shirt, and I'm a huge fan of this. This is awesome fucking old school death metal. Like, it has pull through or groove, but it also has like incantations level of sort of like creepiness, and it's flat out brutal, but man, the songs are very fucking hooky on here. So in terms of like an old school band that I found out about this year that I really got into, definitely this one. Number 11, new band / album discovery of 2022. And since I went with something old on number 10, I went with something new on number 11, and that is Doesnt. And I fucking love this band. I actually bought both their albums, but this is the one I started with, Order of Chaos. This was a year-ender for me. This is black metal, death grind, and Swedish death metal all wrapped up. It is one of the most heavy, abrasive albums I listened to this year, but holy shit, it's just really well written. Hyper fucking violent. I mean, it has the HM2 tone that I love so much, but it also has that grindcore energy and a little bit of black metal atmosphere. It's like the perfect storm of just violence, like just pure musical violence. So yeah, awesome fucking find this year. Number 12, an album sold to you by a song. And I went with Fit for an Autopsy, and the song was Far From Heaven, and legit, I think it is one of the best songs that they have written. It is absolutely infectious. It is catchy as hell. I like the rest of the album. I think it's pretty decent. I think I gave it a 3 or a 3.5. Like, it's a solid deathcore album, but honestly, Far From Heaven stands out a lot on here. I know Two Towers is also pretty good, and those two are kind of similar in the sense that they're sort of embracing like Gojira as a big influence on here, but they do it to absolute perfection on Far From Heaven. That song is catchy as hell. Big fucking chorus on it, and that main breakdown fucking stomp that comes in on here is one of the catchiest moments, I think, of 2022. So yeah, these guys sold me on one song, and honestly the album's pretty decent, but that one song is a giant fucking standout on here. Number 13, most anticipated album of 2023. I have quite a few, honestly. I mean, one's coming up soon, which is Obituary, but honestly the one that I'm just kind of eagerly awaiting is the new Enslaved. I'm a huge Enslaved fan. I don't think they have a bad album, and I imagine they're going to keep that track record going. I just don't see this band putting out anything that isn't like absolutely fucking amazing here lately. I could be wrong. I haven't listened to it yet because it's not out, won't come out until February. But that one's really fucking up there in terms of like shit that I'm excited for. But there's a ton of shit I'm excited for. Who's fucking surprised by that? We're definitely gonna review a ton of music on here. But yeah, Enslaved, that one is definitely like at the top of my list, I think. Number 14, the 23rd album on your shelf. So since I organize everything alphabetically and, you know, chronologically in terms of like the order of releases from a band, I kind of went with that and just started at A and just kind of counted across. So what I came up with was Abominable Putridity, The Anomalies of Artificial Origin. And yeah, I haven't listened to this album in fucking forever. This is some nasty, brutal death metal / slam. Like, it's just guttural vocals and fucking chuggy guitars. It's absolutely brutal. I haven't listened to this in quite a while. Like, shit, dude, this is over 10 years old now. So, I don't know, I might have to return to this one now that I've, you know, pulled this out and checked out the gnarly fucking cover again. You know, why not? Might need to check it out again. But yeah, this was number 23 until I cycle in new music. So, there it is. Number 15, the last album that has gone into your collection. So, I could have done this two ways because generally I'll keep like a stack of music that I'm working on for collection updates right next to me by my computer. But I could also have gone with what I cycle into the collection like as a whole. But I didn't want to like try to remember what the last one I put in was because that was just too much fucking work. So I just went with what was put on my computer last, and that was Paradise Lost's Host. This will be in a collection update in the future. I know this is not the Paradise Lost that I usually listen to. Like, this is definitely more of their like goth rock sort of experimentation, which I didn't necessarily mind so much, mostly because they're just good songwriters regardless. But I have not really listened to this one, so I don't know, like maybe this is one I won't get into as much. But yeah, this is the last one that went in, so look forward to me talking about this in a collection update in the future. Number 16, a random poll from your collection. So How I did this was I just picked a letter and I went with S because that's just a large section of my collection. Like, so many damn bands begin with S. So in the most scientific manner that I could think of, I stood in front of a wall of CDs and did one of these. And what I came across was something fiercely not metal. Soul Coughing's El Oso. This was their last album, came out in 1998. And this is, I don't know, just some strange alternative band that I absolutely love. There are some songs in here that are just fucking catchy as hell. Like, they have like weird jazzy, you know, moments. There's like kind of moments of hip hop. There's just flat out rock. The song St. Louise is Listening is amazingly catchy and kind of sounds like it'd be in a fucking David Lynch film. This band's strange, or rather they were strange because they broke up not too long after this album. But it was kind of interesting that, you know, out of all the shit I could have picked, I picked something ferociously non-metal. But this is a great album regardless. Check out this band. They're just fucking weird, but they're fucking awesome. Number 17, a band / artist you discovered through social media. There's a lot because I constantly get tipped off about bands in the comments. I'm also, you know, following like record labels and different musicians on Facebook, Instagram, and I would even count like YouTube in general as social media because we subscribe to a ton of different record labels and a ton of different channels. So I had to think about this one. But the direction I went with was a label that we follow, Everlasting Spew. We're actually friends with some of the guys that help run that label, and they definitely, you know, show us a lot of cool stuff that's coming out and alert us about like, hey, we signed this band. And one that they signed that I was very excited to hear was Fossilization. He Whose Name Was Long Forgotten. This is the debut EP from this Brazilian death doom act. And oh my God, this is just droning misery. Like, it's just so bleak and just rotten sounding. It's amazing. I became a big fan of this band, like, pretty much from the second I jammed it. They recently did a split with Ritual Necromancy, and if you saw my EP list of the year, this was my favorite EP of the year. Well, I mean, they're split with Ritual Necromancy. This was one of my favorite EPs of 2021 when this dropped, though. So this is just flat out dark, haunting, creepy as hell. I mean, it's pretty much everything you want out of death doom, I think. Thank you to Everlasting Spew for kind of nudging this in our direction. This has become a nice repeat listen of mine, and looking forward to new stuff from these guys. I believe they are working on a full length right now, so stay tuned for more Fossilization on the channel. Number 18, where do you see your collecting progressing in the next 5 years? And this is more about like prices of music going up, so like inflation in general. And I think because I'm a CD collector rather than a vinyl collector, this hasn't really affected me as much. There has been like a bit of an increase in the price of CDs overall, but mostly it's the vinyl prices that have become pretty fucking outrageous. Like, most vinyl I see seems to be priced around like 30 to almost 35 bucks here lately. And that is just like such a sharp hike from where it was like maybe even 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, versus CDs, which have kind of just hung around that, you know, like maybe $12 to $15 range, and they're still kind of there. Like, maybe you pay a little bit more for imports, but for the most part, it really hasn't changed that much. So for me as a collector, since CDs are my main thing, I still see myself kind of keeping up to the same degree that I usually do, but overall, like for vinyl collectors, yeah, it's getting fucking tricky, and I don't know how these vinyl prices are gonna fucking come down. But I mean, overall, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. I try not to fucking, you know, predict any of it, because generally I'm wrong. I'm wrong as fuck. But I don't know. That's the main thing. I know that I'm gonna keep collecting, and I'm probably gonna like keep watching prices to see if there's any like big fluctuation in terms of CDs, at least alone. Number 19, a new release you didn't buy based on price alone. Now, it's that little addendum at the end, based on price alone, that made this one hard to answer. In fact, I don't really have an answer for this, because most of the stuff I had targeted, I actually went out and bought. The only thing that I could think of that, well, I mean, was priced way too much in terms of whether or not I actually wanted it, was the deluxe edition of Technical Ecstasy by Black Sabbath, which is not one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums, but I do love the song Dirty Women, and admittedly Backstreet Kids is, you know, kind of catchy, but for the most part that album's just kind of an uneven mess. But I do really like those deluxe packages. Like I got the one for Sabotage, I got the one for Volume 4, got the one for Paranoid as well. But those albums to me are kind of worth it to have like a really cool expanded edition of. Plus it has like a whole bunch of cool live tracks, posters are in it. Like they really do load up those sets. But there's nothing really from that era that I think would make me like Technical Ecstasy any more than I already don't like it. So that was the only one I could think of, but again, it's not based on solely price alone. It is also based on the fact that I'm just not a huge fan of that album. And when that came out, I was scratching my head because the entire time I was going, where the fuck is the Master Reality one? Like, I feel like you should get that one out before you put out, you know, Technical Ecstasy. Like, what's next? Never Say Die? No one really wants that special edition. They want Master of Reality. Or Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Like, throw out the good ones first, and then, you know, maybe the fans of the, you know, not so good stuff will, you know, go after it. That's just me, though. I know those albums have their fans, but yeah, that was the only thing I could think of for an answer for this one. And number 20, a song that doesn't belong. A song that lets the album down. Now, there's definitely a lot I can think of, and there's definitely some that I've brought up before, like Dawn Patrol on Rust in Peace. I mean, otherwise that album's like flat out fucking perfect, but Dawn Patrol's always just kind of been a there track. But honestly, I went with Slipknot's new one with the opening track, Adderall. What the fuck is this track even doing on this album? The rest of this album is pretty damn heavy. I really dug this album. But the opening track is a fucking head scratcher. It's this weird kind of atmospheric, soft rock, ambient song. And yeah, Slipknot sometimes opens up their albums with something more ambient as like an opener, an intro, or something like that. But this isn't an intro. This is like a 4.5 minute long song, and man, it doesn't even belong on a fucking Stone Sour album. Like, this just sounds really out of place. Like, this wasn't even intended to be on this album, and they're choosing to open with this. This is a metal album. You're supposed to get kind of explosive out the gate, like set the fucking pace. This comes in with a fucking whimper. Yeah, I just flat out don't get why they chose to open this album with that song, but yeah, it kind of made it a little bit harder to get into, and admittedly that track, it's not one I ever go back to. In fact, skip right to the next one. But yeah, that's the one I thought of that maybe wasn't going to get brought up as much. And that is it for the 2023 Metal Tag. Some pretty good fucking questions here. And again, to all of our fellow YouTubers out there, if you're looking for something just kind of interesting to do, I know January is generally a slow month when it comes down to releases, so we're all looking for fun content to put out. Give this one a whirl. It's a lot of fucking fun. There's some definite questions on there that made me think, and it was kind of fun going through my collection and finding stuff that I haven't listened to in a while. Like, 23rd album in my collection, that's just a fucking random, strange question, but it turned up an album that I'm probably gonna revisit again. I'll probably pitch this one to the other guys. They may or may not do it. I don't know, like schedules in terms of like, you know, working on different stuff. They're kind of overlapping a bit, but we'll see. Who knows? They might actually do it. But regardless, this was fun. And again, check out the Rock Scouts channel. He puts out quality content as well. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. That is our store. Our shirts are there. We do need to reload them, but also our Patreon link is there. So if you would like to help us out there, just click the link down below. And just reiterating, we did make an announcement about Denver Death Fest, and yeah, we have to find a new venue, so hopefully that is going along relatively smoothly. This was out of our hands. We couldn't do anything about it, and unfortunately venues closing is kind of a fucking thing that's happening a lot here lately. So hopefully we find a new venue here soon. I guess we already have a couple of locations we're looking at. We just gotta, you know, talk to them. And again, making sure that they're not gonna take a giant merch cut from the bands, because that's fucking bullshit. So when we have more to tell you, we will definitely tell you. And of course, thank you all so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that stuff. It fucking means the world to us. It's amazing to see this channel grow. It's been a lot of fun doing this for all these years, and we want to keep it rolling. And you guys are the reason for our success. I don't know, like, I mean, we're a small YouTube channel in the grand scheme of things, but we feel, you know, pretty damn good about all we've accomplished over the years, and we just want to keep it going. So once again, thank you all so much, and we will catch you later.